Hi. I feel called to give you a bit of a life update. There's a lot going on for us right now, and I think it would kind of make things make more sense to you guys as well, to know, I guess, what's going on now, what's happening in the near future, and then what's happening towards the later half of the year. So at the moment, I'm in the process of moving house. So our landlord decided that she wanted to move back into this space, which is fine. It kind of prompted my partner and I to revisit some plans that we had to move to the UK, which got put on hold last year because of COVID. So my partner is from the UK. We met over here, and I also have dual citizenship. So my mum was born in the UK, so I have an Australian passport and also a British passport, which entitles me to live and work over there as well. So we had intended on moving overseas last year, but we kind of pushed that back and said we would just wait and see how everything went and reevaluate our plans when the world opened up a little bit more and when things got a little bit clearer, and we felt comfortable starting to make some plans. So when we found out that the landlord wanted to move back in here and we needed to relocate and try and find somewhere else, we decided that we would put the call out to see if there was potentially someone who needed some house sitting for a period of time, that we could move into a different space that essentially or ideally would be fully furnished, so that we could actually start to, hardcore Marie Kondo, get rid of some of the stuff that wasn't really super important to us, making this whole process of relocating to the UK later in the year a bit more easeful. So that is why you've seen me posting buy our belongings on the story here, because we're starting to let go of some of the things that we won't either be shipping overseas to have there with us, or that we won't be holding on to and storing here for a time when we return. So that is why I'm posting buy my belongings, and that's why you're seeing it come up in my stories. So another thing that you're seeing coming up in my stories at the moment is gift bundles. So as we are moving, I have a lot of really beautiful things from incredible small business owners that I have purchased in order to pass on to clients of my own, whether that be postpartum dual clients, whether that be midwives who I'm mentoring. And I did make a big purchase of really beautiful products in February, with the aim of releasing round 2 of mentoring for midwives in March, and all of those really beautiful things were going to be part of the enrollment bundles for the midwives who signed up for that program. As I started to dive into the course that I'm doing at the moment, Going Rogue, with Brittany Eastman, which has been incredible in so many ways, and also just a complete shake up, unraveling, deep dive, digging, trudging, releasing of things. It became really abundantly clear to me that I really wanted to sit with this program for longer, really consider everything that was in there, what felt it had a great place, what felt needed to be shifted, how I wanted to show up in that space, how I wanted to support other people, what role I wanted to facilitate, what archetype I wanted to be for, that's most aligned for me. So I decided not to release that program at the time. And so now I have all of these really beautiful things in my possession that, one, I would like to, it'd be great to hold on to them, but I don't actually need all of those things. And two, I am moving. So it's really, I guess, been on my mind as to, do I hold on to these things for a future release of the program, not really knowing whether I will want to have a scent component to that program, or do I rebundle these things and and sell those on to people for, beautiful gifts, Mother's Day gifts potentially that are coming up. So that's why you're seeing care bundles on my website as well. I don't intend in growing the store section of my website. It's really just a space that I'm currently adding to because I have excess stock of some really wonderful things that I want to pass on to other people. So that's why you're seeing that Buy My Belongings. That's why you're seeing care bundles. And I really felt very called to share why you're seeing those things in your feed, because I am feeling into the journey of my business and the world of my business and the flow of what I offer and how it all fits together, and me sharing those things whilst it is kind of relevant to my business. It's not completely relevant to the mission and what I'm trying to achieve with my work. So that's why I wanted to share why you're seeing it, because it does feel, I guess, important for me to be able to share it in this space, because I am joined by so many wonderful people who I know would love and benefit from these things. But yeah, I just wanted to give you some context as to why that's here. So for those of you who are thinking of working with me in some capacity, and perhaps are thinking, okay, well, what does this mean if you're moving overseas? How does that all work? What's the geo? So I've been working 2 days a week in the hospital space for the last almost year in Geelong. Before that, I worked for 4 years in Melbourne in a hospital there. But in the last year, I've been working consistently 2 days a week, or 0.4 EFT. And this year I have decided, not this year, I guess essentially in the last couple of months, I've decided that I would really love to have the freedom and flexibility to choose when it is that I work, based on my energy, that I can actually choose to be working in a space that I want to work in, because I work in, for those who are familiar with how maternity or just the hospital system works, I applied for a role in pool, which means that essentially I could be working in women's or children's, so birth unit, postnatal ward, special care nursery. But if there are no shifts available in maternity or children's, then I can be put on a nursing ward, or as a one-on-one carer for a client, perhaps someone with dementia or high acuity needs that needs that one-on-one care. And I would prefer to be able to select to work within the maternity space when my energy is good and I can give fully from a full cup, and know that the care that I'm giving is really, that I feel good about it. So of course I feel incredibly lucky to be in the space that I can choose to do that. And that's a decision that I've made for myself and how I want to work within the maternity setting. So from the end of April, I will be on a casual basis, still working in Geelong at the hospital that I've been working at for the last year, with the possibility that I might also pick up some casual shifts in other hospitals as well, should it feel good to do that. I'm going to feel into it once we get there. I am going to continue to run online hypnobirthing classes monthly for 8 couples each month. I absolutely adore the energy of this sized group, and I think it works really well with my energy. I find that I can be more myself with a larger group, which sounds funny to say, but I feel that I can really let my personality shine through more in our classes. And I feed off the energy of the group with that size. And so I absolutely love it, and I continue to do that. I'm going to continue to do that. When I move abroad, it's not going to change that. So I intend to, when we relocate, which will probably be, at this stage, we're thinking it will be end of September. That's the date that we have penciled in our mind and that we're working towards. So once we approach that time, I intend to still run classes in the same way that I do now for couples who, or birthing people who live in Australia. And I also intend to extend that to families globally, essentially. But in the UK, once I have a bit more of an understanding about the maternity system, the birth climate in the UK, but I really am excited about continuing to offer the hypnobirthing course to couples here. So if you're thinking about getting pregnant, or if you're in the early stages of pregnancy, and feel drawn to my energy, of her good things about my energy, and feel like, yes, I want to do them with you, that opportunity is not going to be taken away. That's still there. That's also why I have decided to build my business predominantly online, so that I can continue to serve couples and families no matter where they are. So I want to make that really abundantly clear. That is going to stay the same. Some of the things that are going to be a little bit different. So I have been, so I am also a postpartum doula, and I've been feeling into how it feels best for me to show up in that space and offer, my innate gifts, my knowledge, my wisdom, and the best way that I can use my energy in that role, so that the people that I work with get the most out of it, that I feel like it's a really potent energy exchange. So at the moment, you'll see that if you go onto my website, it does have pregnancy and postpartum support, but it's a bit ambiguous. It doesn't really say how. It just kind of says, if you're interested in working together, contact me. And this is because I'm really kind of feeling into the depths of that at the moment. What feels right, how I want to show up, how I want it to look, how I want it to feel, how I want it to flow, who I want to serve, how I want to serve them, what archetype I want to be in. So the reason that it's a little bit like, if you go there, there's not a whole great deal of information, is because I'm really feeling into what it could be for me if I strip back what it means to be a postpartum doula or to offer postpartum support, just to really, get rid of all of the information about how it should be done that I already have, and feel into, how do I want to do it? How do I really want to do it that feels aligned with me and my energy and my role, with the knowledge that I have, and the gifts that I have? How can I make that the most potent and aligned version of additional pregnancy and postpartum support that I possibly can? The other thing that I'm really feeling into at the moment, like I mentioned earlier, was the mentoring for midwives. So I feel very, very strongly about standing side by side with other midwives who are perhaps feeling really burnt out, who are perhaps feeling really disenchanted by their current work, who are feeling like, what the fuck, pretty much. Like, how am I possibly going to continue on in this role in terms of sustainability, longevity, passion? You know, how do I do this? How do I keep moving forward? What are my options? I really want to be working with midwives in multiple capacities, but that is something that I'm really feeling into, so that, again, it feels really congruent with my beliefs, my values, the things that I feel are really important for me to be able to portray in my work, that the things that I'm able to instill in other people, because for me it's really important that I empower other people. So I'm not a coach, not to say that coaches don't empower, they absolutely empower, but I'm pretty much just feeling into all of the possible roles and archetypes that people play when they're working with other people, and saying, does this feel how I want to show up? Does this feel aligned with me? No, it doesn't. So I'm in a real process of shedding in terms of how I want to do that, how I want to serve and work with and empower other people, to essentially step back into their power and make decisions that feel aligned for them in the world of birth work. So I'm also feeling into that it perhaps won't just be midwives, but perhaps also doulas, birth workers in general, because I really feel that we can learn a lot by coming together and sharing our skills and our knowledge and our passions in a really open-minded and non-judgmental way, with a really open heart. So that's something else that I want to share. So again, if you go to my website and you see support for midwives and birth workers, it just has like a little subscription box for you to be able to pop your email address in. That I'm not sending anything to that at the moment, because again, I'm still very much in like a consolidating, digging, stripping away, finding out the real like nitty gritty essence of what it is that I'm doing. So when you go on, if you put your email in there, you'll go into a little list who I will start to let know as, you know, things start to ripple out, make sense, find their place. So I think I've covered most things that I wanted to. I really just felt like I needed to come and talk to you about what's going on, where I'm at, what my plans are, how I want to be working in this space, to give you an idea of what you can expect here, what you can expect from me, how we can potentially work together in the future, what is going on in my life, and why I'm kind of like, you know, putting things up that you're like, oh, that's interesting, why is she posting that? Yeah, so that's pretty much it. You will notice that occasionally I will still be posting, I guess, a combination of kind of business stuff and midwifery stuff that I'm passionate about, that I feel really called to share and vocalize and talk on, that I just feel like I have no choice but to share with you. And I'll also continue to keep posting, you know, snippets of my life, of behind the biz, of behind the midwife, of behind the person, because I really do feel like that's really important for me to share as well. And, you know, obviously over time I used to share a lot of like talking and food and exercise and so much stuff, and I think I've really been caught up in the whirlwind of how do I just use this channel for my business, but I really just want to share more of, I guess, me and what feels good, and my process, and my passions, and just this journey, you know, this up and down, rocky, tumble turning journey of navigating a path for myself that feels really, truly aligned, freaking scary, but also bloody exciting. So I hope that you have enjoyed my 20 minutes of rambling, and it just gives you a bit of an insight into what's going on. And I actually feel so much lighter for having shared that with you. So thank you for listening.